So one day, YouTube recommended this video to me called I Let 4 Body Type Experts Dress Me. Life-changing.
I think it's the most important part of personal style.
I think she's flamboyant gamine, very much like Audrey Hepburn, who is also a flamboyant gamine. Flamboyant gamines need structure and weight to their clothes and their accessories as well. A thick metal stud would be really beautiful. Of course, these are just my recommendations for you that are based on the Kibbe system.
I really recommend this. I think it is the greatest thing in the world.
And so I thought, oh wow, I want my life changed as well. But when I looked at the price tags of these body experts and saw $249, $999, I thought, yeah, no thank you. I had a look at the websites of these body type experts, and I think the lowest price tag that I could find was this style and silhouette analysis for $149. But then scrolling down, I also saw a package that's called Astro Body Analysis for $179.99. Apparently, it's an astrological styling service. And that's when I thought, well, maybe not quite for me. So then I started Googling body type analysis and came across this Styled by Susie, award-winning personal styling. I had a look at the Trustpilot and it had 589 reviews, with almost all of them saying that this is a 5-star, excellent service. The rave reviews said something like exactly what every woman needs. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. So I decided this looks good enough for me. Plus the price tag was not as biting, especially for the first tier, I guess, bronze package that starts at 45 pounds and includes a body shape analysis, which is on how to dress your body shape, which cuts best suit your shape, includes information on necklines, pattern sizes, shoes, and much more. Also, a color analysis, a visual guide to the palette of colors that best suit you, and finally, makeup suggestions, a visual guide with shades of lipsticks and eye makeup colors that best suit you. Once I bought this package, they sent me a questionnaire that I had to fill out, which included things like my height, which is 5'5", my bra size, 32B, and then it asked for a size on top, for example, 12, and size on bottom, which I thought my size differs depending on where I'm buying the clothes, which country the brand is from, and which collection it's from, and etc, etc. So, and this website is from the UK, so I figured the best and most objective thing to do would be to just simply put my measurements in. So for the top, I put my waist size measurement, which is 23 to 24 inches, depending on all sorts of different things, and then the size on the bottom I stated as my hips being 36 to 38 inches. I mean 37. They also listed what kind of pictures they wanted me to submit, and these were the 4 pictures that I submitted. And then soon enough I received this PDF file in my email with my analysis. The email read, "Hello Ayana, it's so lovely to be working with you. I hope you have had a good week. Your style analysis is now complete and attached for your enjoyment. I hope you enjoy reading through and gaining some fresh inspiration. I am always at the end of an email if you have any questions or queries, either now or in the future. In the meantime, have lots of fun with your style analysis, and I look forward to hearing from you soon. Smile. Best wishes, Susie XX." The PDF started with my color analysis and stated that I'm a winter, although I couldn't really find any specific reasons about why they thought I was a winter, except one mention about my deep, rich tone to your eyes. Other than that, it felt like I couldn't really understand why they typed me as winter, and the rest of the advice just seemed like generic type winter advice. And then the PDF goes on to type my body type as a rectangle and provide to me what seems also like a little bit of a generic type advice for what a rectangular body shapes would wear. But to be honest, the rectangle part kind of threw me off a little bit. I was surprised. I started Googling what a rectangular body shape was compared to the other body shapes and would come across things like the rectangle body shape is characterized by equal bust, waist, and hip measurements. The lack of curves makes the body appear like a column or a rectangle. Rectangles tend to be tall and lean. They are not particularly curvy. The waist is not well defined and the bottom is rather flat. Read if you are concerned about an undefined waist, lack of curves. And I thought, interesting. I'm not really concerned about any of these things, and the description doesn't quite read true to me, but I kept reading on. And then this other website said that for a rectangular body shape, the proportions or the ratio of shoulders, waist, and hips are usually 3 to 3 to 3, and found another website that described a rectangular body shape as a body type that has close waist to hip ratio, usually no more than 9 inches. So if my waistline is 24 inches and my hips are 37 inches, I thought, well, that makes 13 inches, which is way more than 9 inches at most. Also, I'm seeing that this website has a body type calculator, so I'm thinking, okay, you know what, let me measure myself from scratch, input the details, and see what this website tells me. And this calculator comes back typing me as an hourglass body type, which usually has hip and bust measurements nearly equal in size with a narrower waist measurement. So now, being a little surprised and confused, I am replying to Susie saying, "Hi Susie, thanks for sending me the style analysis. I do have one request. Do you think someone could take a second look at my analysis, please? I'm not sure a lot of it rings true for me. For example, I'm struggling to understand how my body shape came out to be rectangular with my hips at 37 inches and the waist at 24 inches. I just measured to confirm. Thank you." To which she replies, "Hi Ayana, lovely to hear from you. I know it can be confusing when measurements are seemingly different from the analysis results. You do have a very tiny waist, but if I was shopping with you in person, I would be dressing you according to the rectangle guidelines while still drawing focus to the waist." I chatted this through with my colleague Sarah and asked her to look at your details for her opinion. She was of the same opinion that while you have a beautifully defined waist and hips, the guidelines for a rectangle would suit you best to enhance your figure. For example, I would choose tops that we could tuck into jeans and chic pencil skirts and bodycon styles. These are styles that I would only recommend for my rectangle clients. You have such an amazing figure, like a supermodel. The guidelines for the rectangle shape will best work for your silhouette, and we tend to look at clients' silhouettes as opposed to asking for measurements, as we find it a more accurate way to style them and have great results from doing so. If you have any questions related to specific points, do let me know. Best wishes, Susie X. Just one X this time. Also, am I the only one that finds it kind of funny when she says you do have a very tiny waist? You have a beautifully defined waist and hips. You have such an amazing figure, like a supermodel. I can't tell if this is like bestie, we're besties, we're best friends kind of a vibe, or if it's like kind of a little condescending and weird and over the top. Can you tell me, is Susie my best friend or is Susie passive aggressive? Also, she kind of made me feel like I wrote these emails to her to kind of get more validation, like I wanted compliments or something. And like, that's not what I was looking for. And also telling me that I look like a supermodel, I feel like it's a little bit too much. It almost seems like she's trying to prop up my self-esteem or something. And I'm thinking, my self-esteem is fine. I know what I am and I know what I'm not. At 5'5", I don't need someone to lie to me that I'm a supermodel to feel good about myself. And so at this point, I'm thinking, well, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just not getting something. This is a professional stylist after all. Hundreds of people seem to love her services. And so I'm thinking, well, I'm just going to keep reading this PDF file, and I guess I'll try to incorporate these things into my wardrobe. And as I'm reading this, there's this section on tops where it says sleeveless works well. Just avoid spaghetti strapped tops. But then in a later section that says overview, it gives me advice again on what tops to wear and says tops with crew necks, Bardot styles, cold shoulder, roll necks, spaghetti straps. And so I'm thinking, wait, do I wear spaghetti straps or do I avoid spaghetti straps? So this is when I'm thinking, okay, this is not me that's just wrong and doesn't understand anything about style. There's something actually, factually, objectively wrong with this PDF file. And so I write to Susie again. Hi Susie, I'm afraid I have to ask for a refund as I don't think the analysis is made to a good standard. It's not accurate of me and therefore of use to me. The body shape suggestions seem to be the opposite of what looks good on me, which makes sense as for whatever reason it characterized me as a rectangle and just gave generic rectangle advice. I can't find a single stylist who would say that someone with a 24-inch waist and 37-inch hips could be classified as a rectangle. I could maybe understand if the analysis was slightly off, but with my measurements, I'm the opposite of a rectangle. The color suggestions are also the opposite of what looks good on me. I tried to find a single explanation as to why my skin tone was classified as winter, but there is none. Overall, the report seems like a hectic, highly repetitive, explicitly contradictory compilation written by several people and for a few people. For example, it tells me to avoid spaghetti strap tops in one part and then tells me I should wear spaghetti strap tops in the other. How did that happen? I understand that mistakes happen, but for me, I completely lost trust and would like a refund. Best, Ayana. And then Susie replies, Hello, Ayana. I'm so sorry to read this. We have processed you a refund. Kind regards, Susie. No XX this time, not even 1X. Susie is not my bestie anymore. I thought we were best friends, Susie. To be fair to Susie, they did refund me shortly after that. So in that sense, I don't really have too many complaints about Susie. I did get my money back. However, it did give me a bit of an icky feeling in terms of the people who might not have caught little mistakes like that, might not have been ifed. Like some of the Trustpilot's review when I read seemed to be as confused as I was in the beginning, where they said, well, I don't know, it doesn't quite read that true to me, but maybe I'm wrong, she's right, she's a stylist, and I will try to incorporate this, I guess, but thanks anyways. And I think those reviews gave it some 4-star or something. And if I didn't catch that objective mistake with the spaghetti strap tops, I would have probably walked away with a similar feeling. But now that I'm thinking about it, I felt kind of a little gaslit the whole time, and I'm wondering if maybe, so it's obvious that it's not just Susie that does all these things, that she has people working for her, and it does seem like they are printing out these analyses to people in a quite fast pace with other people involved there. And I'm just wondering if maybe, I actually wondered at some point if maybe if a human even looked at it. That's why I think in my first email I asked for someone to have a second look at my profile, because I thought I wonder if actually no one ever looked at anything, and maybe I wonder if they just ran it through some software or AI thing that just where you would download or upload my pictures, my questionnaire, and then just spit out answers. And maybe the pictures I took, the silhouettes were read off by AI as a rectangle. I don't know, especially since there isn't much. I kind of blend in with my background a little bit, so I wonder if maybe I could see how a software wouldn't quite read it that well. Who knows? I have no idea, obviously. But I have to say, when I asked for someone to have a second look at my thing and when they started replying to me, it did feel a little gaslighty. I'm not gonna lie. Which is why I was so relieved when I found that glaring mistake. I was like, finally, thank you. I thought I was almost tricked for a moment into thinking that I am just wrong, I'm not seeing what I'm seeing, which is why I came away from this experience thinking, oh wow, I don't think anyone should be buying these services that will claim to type you one way or another based off of just some online things, because you never know if an actual person is even looking at your pictures, and even pictures can be not that accurate anyways, but here you don't even know. And thank God I decided this time to go buy a cheaper version. And I guess one might say, well, you went with a cheaper version and that's why you received a cheaper service like this. But, going back to this YouTube video that I first saw that inspired me to try these things in the first place, none of these were cheap at all. All of them were, from what I remember, I think, again, the cheapest one I think was $149. But looking back in retrospect, I realized that a lot of these analyses aren't even that personal, really. For example, a lot of these body analysis, they center around these Kibbe types that are really readily available online. There's lots of resources there. One of these analyses, for example, even in that original video, says something to the effect of, well, I think you are a flamboyant gamine, and the most famous flamboyant gamine is Audrey Hepburn, so this is what I suggest you wear. And if you look at these outfits, these are pretty much the most basic Audrey Hepburn type outfits anyways.
You are definitely a flamboyant gamine. The most famous one is Audrey Hepburn, so I wanted to honor her with this outfit. It's a turtleneck, very sleek, ankle-cut trousers to really emphasize the narrowness of the ankles and the length of the leg, paired with, cute flats. This works so well for the flamboyant gamine because they look best in form-fitting, sleek looks.
So looking back, if I knew everything that I have found out since then, would I have paid anyone to do a body type expert session or analysis for me? No, not really. I would have just gone online to one of these communities, like on Reddit, for example, is where and how I found out about my Kibbe type with the help of other people. So I would just find it out that way, and then you could utilize so many resources that are just out there for free online that will give you all sorts of advice on how to dress yourself depending on your Kibbe type. And if you're curious about how you could go about finding your Kibbe type in a free, quick, and easy way, I'll be sharing my experience of how I did it on Reddit in my next video. So stay tuned.